In 7 days, every single one of these homes would be ash, every family gone, and America would pretend it never happened for the next 59 years. This is Rosewood, Florida, a thriving black community erased in 1 week by a lie told by one woman. This is the story they buried. The last known survivor died in 2018. She lived long enough to have an Instagram account, and most of America still doesn't know her name. Northwest Florida, 1,923. Rosewood, a small black town of around 200 people on the Seaboard Airline Railway. Just miles away sat Sumner, a white lumber mill town. Rosewood had churches, a school, a general store, and landowners, black landowners. In 1923 Florida, that alone made some people furious. January 1st, 1,923, New Year's morning, a neighbor heard screaming from Fannie Taylor's home. When she arrived, Fannie was beaten and she had a story ready. She said a black man had broken in and attacked her. That was all it took. In Levy County, Florida, in 1923, those words were a death sentence. Her husband, James Taylor, didn't wait for evidence. He didn't wait for the law. He assembled a mob before noon. But what the mob didn't know, and what a 1,993 state report would later reveal, was that witnesses described a white man, possibly a lover, leaving Fannie's home that morning. There was no evidence of a black attacker. None. But the machine was already moving, and it had chosen its target. Without investigation, the sheriff's office named a suspect, Jesse Hunter, a black man who had escaped a chain gang. No evidence, no witnesses, just a name. Jesse Hunter would never be found, never tried, never proven guilty of anything, but Rosewood would burn for him anyway. Sheriff Elias Walker assembled a search party. The bloodhounds led them not to Jesse Hunter, but to the edge of Rosewood. They stopped at the home of Aaron Carrier. He had no connection to Hunter. That didn't matter. They dragged him from his home, tied him to a car, and pulled him down the dirt road towards Sumner. He survived barely because Sheriff Walker intervened and took him into custody. One act of mercy in a week of horror. It would be the last. The mob turned to Sam Carter, a black blacksmith. They believed he was hiding Jesse Hunter. They didn't ask him. They tortured him until he told them what they wanted to hear. He led them into the woods. Jesse Hunter wasn't there. And in that moment, Sam Carter's usefulness ended. They shot him. Then they hung his body from a tree. By now, Rosewood knew what was coming. The town's only white resident, John Wright, watched as the mob moved deeper in. Families blew out their lanterns, barred their doors, and held their children in the dark. January 4th, 1,923. The mob had a new target, Sylvester Carrier. They believed he was hiding Jesse Hunter. 20 to 30 armed men surrounded his house. The first thing they did was shoot the family dog. Sylvester's mother, Sarah Carrier, stepped onto the porch unarmed and faced them. They shot her, and the moment she fell, Sylvester opened fire. He killed 2 men, wounded 4 more. One man held off a mob of 30, but there were too many. By morning, Sylvester was dead. His mother was dead. And the mob had a new excuse. Families fled into the swamp. No packing, no plan, just survival. Mothers held their babies underwater to silence their cries as men with torches searched nearby. These were families hiding in freezing water, hoping morning might save them. By the next day, the crowd had grown. Not 30 men, but 200. The story had spread, twisted into something else. The truth no longer mattered. KKK members joined openly. More men arrived, bringing more rage. This was Klan country. The mob burned the Carrier home, then the church, the school, house after house. They dismantled an entire community systematically. The governor offered National Guard support. It could have stopped everything. The sheriff refused, said it was under control. It wasn't. The survivors in the swamp had no food, no shelter, no certainty, only silence. John Wright hid as many people as he could in his home, but he couldn't save everyone. Families lost everything. Land, possessions, history reduced to ash. January 6th, the 6th day, 2 brothers arrived with a train. It was the only way out. Survivors were called from the swamp. Women, children, the elderly. They were loaded onto the train quickly, quietly. The men were left behind. The train pulled away as families watched each other disappear. Children looked out the windows and saw their town burning. They arrived in nearby towns with nothing. No help, no justice. Some of the men escaped. Some vanished. The true death toll was never confirmed. January 7th, day 7, the mob finished the job. Every structure owned by a black resident was burned. Rosewood ceased to exist. One building remained John Wright's store. It stood alone in a field of ash. Within a week, a living town became silence. The land was never returned. Within years, the forest erased what was left, and the story disappeared. A grand jury was formed. Every witness was white. The verdict: insufficient evidence. No arrests, no trials. Nothing. The newspapers moved on. The state moved on. Rosewood vanished for 59 years. In 1982, a reporter named Gary Moore uncovered the story. He found survivors. They spoke for the first time. In 1993, Florida commissioned an official report. The truth was confirmed. In 1994, the state passed the Rosewood Compensation Act. 9 survivors received compensation. Descendants received far less. 71 years later, justice came barely. Today, a marker stands where Rosewood once was. The town is gone. The last survivor, Mary Hall Daniels, died in 2018. She carried 1,923 her entire life. A woman screamed. A mob believed her. A town burned. A lie outlived the truth by 59 years. And the people of Rosewood were erased twice. First by fire, then by silence. Now you know the name. Say it, because for 59 years, nobody did. And that silence was the second crime.